Hi, I'm Grady. Been working construction for 30 years now, with the calluses and back pain to prove it. Not that I'm complaining. Honest work put food on the table for me and my boy Ethan after Diane walked out when he was just 7. Said she needed to find herself. Well, she found herself in Arizona with some insurance salesmen, and I found myself raising our son alone. Dad, you should see this bass I caught. Must be 6 pounds at least. Ethan was showing me a picture on his phone while we sat in my living room watching the Cowboys game. Sunday afternoons had been our thing since he was little. Even now at 28, he still made time for our ritual. That's a beauty, son. We should hit the lake again before your big day. One last fishing trip before you're a married man. His face lit up. Definitely. Though Vanessa has us pretty booked with wedding stuff. Ah, Vanessa. My future daughter-in-law from Highland Park. The first time I met her at Reunion Tower for dinner, she looked at my work boots like I'd tracked cow manure into a palace. So Grady, Ethan tells me you're in construction? She'd said it like it was some exotic disease. Yep, built half the office buildings in downtown Dallas with these hands. How interesting. Ethan, didn't you say your father went to college? Community college, babe. Dad's wicked smart with structural engineering, self-taught. I saw it then. That little flinch. Like she'd tasted something sour. Been seeing it for 2 years now. Last week at the rehearsal dinner, her mother Patricia cornered me by the bar. I understand you'll be giving a toast, Grady. Perhaps keep it brief. Our friends from the club aren't used to, well, colorful language. Don't worry, ma'am. I'll leave out the part about wrestling alligators and my moonshine business. She blinked rapidly, not getting the joke. Yes, well, Vanessa wants everything perfect. What my wife means is don't let her intimidate you. That was Richard, Vanessa's father, suddenly appearing with 2 whiskeys. He handed me one. Some of the best men I know never set foot in a college classroom, he said, clinking glasses with me. There was something different about Richard. Unlike his wife and daughter, his smile reached his eyes when he talked to me. Your boy's a good man, Grady. You did that. Don't let anyone make you feel small for it. Now, staring at my reflection in the bedroom mirror, adjusting the tie Ethan bought me for the ceremony tomorrow, I feel that familiar knot in my stomach. Tomorrow, my son marries into the country club world, a world where men like me serve drinks and fix toilets. You ready for tomorrow, Dad? Ethan asks from the doorway. Ready as I'll ever be, son. But I'm not. Not for watching Vanessa look down her nose at me for the rest of our lives. Not for Patricia's backhanded comments. Not for feeling like the embarrassing relative they have to invite, but wish they didn't. The only bright spot might be Richard, who seems to see through all the bull. And Ethan, of course, my boy, who somehow bridges these 2 worlds without even realizing they're different. Tomorrow I'll smile and play my part. For Ethan. But something tells me this wedding is just the beginning of my troubles with the woman who's about to become my daughter-in-law. The morning of the wedding, I tugged at my rented tux that felt like a straitjacket. The ceremony was at some fancy vineyard that probably cost more than my house. You clean up nice, Grady. Richard approached as I stood awkwardly by the hors d'oeuvres table. Thanks. Feel like a penguin in this monkey suit. Know the feeling. These folks forget some of us weren't born with silver spoons. Before he could say more, a woman with diamonds the size of quarters interrupted. Richard, darling, the Hendersons are asking about your new yacht. I watched him get dragged away, leaving me alone among clusters of people discussing vacation homes and stock portfolios. A waiter offered champagne, and I grabbed one like a lifeline. Dad, how you holding up? Ethan appeared, looking happier than I'd ever seen him. I'm good, son. You look sharp. Your mother would have been proud. His smile faltered slightly. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. Ethan, sweetie, we need you for photos with the Whitmores. They're flying to Monaco tonight. Vanessa appeared in her princess dress, barely acknowledging me before pulling Ethan away. The ceremony went fine, though I noticed I'd been seated in the second row while Patricia's second cousins got front row treatment. Afterward, the reception kicked into high gear in a massive tent with crystal chandeliers and ice sculptures. Time for the father of the groom's toast, the DJ announced after dinner. I stood, hands shaking slightly, unfolding the paper with the words I'd practiced for weeks. When Ethan was 10, he broke his arm falling from our treehouse. In the ER, he looked up at me and said, Dad, I almost made it to the top. That's my son, always reaching higher, never giving up. Vanessa, you're getting a man who will climb any mountain for you. Take care of each other's hearts. To the bride and groom. There was polite applause. I sat down, relieved it was over. Later, I overheard Vanessa at the bar with her bridesmaids. Can you believe that toast? So tacky. My father quoted Shakespeare at my sister's wedding, and I get a story about a broken arm. At least your in-laws are loaded, right? One bridesmaid said. God, no. Ethan's the first in his family to even get a college degree. His father is basically a family embarrassment. I had to beg Mom not to seat him with the catering staff. My blood went cold. Ethan was just a few feet away, frozen, clearly having heard everything. Actually, Vanessa, Richard's voice cut through the awkward silence, some of us remember where we came from. Before my software company, I was a janitor putting myself through night school. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Daddy, I didn't mean... I know exactly what you meant. Grady raised a fine man with solid values, something I apparently failed to do. The circle of guests parted like the Red Sea as Ethan approached his new wife. You think my father's embarrassing? The man who worked 60-hour weeks so I could have braces? Who never missed a single football game? Vanessa grabbed his arm. Baby, I was just joking around. Ethan looked torn, the conflict plain on his face. You don't joke about family. Ever. I couldn't take anymore. I set down my drink and headed for the exit. Dad, wait, Ethan called after me. Enjoy your honeymoon, son. My voice came out steadier than I felt. We'll talk when you get back. I walked out into the cool night air, humiliation burning through me like acid. But beneath it, something hardened, determination. Vanessa had shown her true colors, and for Ethan's sake, I needed to make sure he saw them too. 3 days after the wedding fiasco, my doorbell rang at 7 a.m. I opened it to find Richard standing there in jeans and a polo shirt, a far cry from his tuxedo the other night. Got coffee? We need to talk about our kids. I let him in, still in my ratty bathrobe. Black okay? Perfect, like my mood. Richard settled at my kitchen table while I poured 2 mugs. I'm sorry about what happened, Grady. Been doing some digging since then. How's Ethan taking it? They still left for their honeymoon in Bali, but that's not why I'm here. He pulled out his phone. My daughter's been lying to us all. Checked these texts I found on her iCloud backup. I scrolled through message after message between Vanessa and someone named Jim Traynor. The explicit photos and meetup plans made my stomach turn. Jesus, she's cheating on him already? Started 3 months before the wedding, but there's more. Richard swiped to another conversation. These are texts to her friend Stephanie. I read aloud. Once we're married, I'm cutting off his weekly fishing trips with his dad. So tired of him coming home smelling like bait and talking about his boring father. My hands shook. She's been planning to keep us apart? Systematically. Look at this one from last month. The text read, got Ethan to turn down that job in Dallas. Convinced him Seattle has better opportunities. Perfect way to get him away from his clingy dad. Seattle? Ethan never mentioned Seattle. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. She's manipulating him, Grady, and I raised her so I know her playbook. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Dad, I'm sorry about the wedding. We need to talk when I get back. Love you. I showed Richard the message. What do I do with all this? He loves her. He loves who he thinks she is. We need to show him the truth. The doorbell rang again. Richard nodded. That'll be our secret weapon. I opened the door to find Marcus, Ethan's best friend since kindergarten. Mr. G, man, Richard said it was important. He stepped in, giving me a bear hug. Tell him what you saw, Marcus, Richard said. So I was at the Capitol Grill last month, you know, the fancy steakhouse. Saw Vanessa in a booth with some dude. They were all over each other. I took pictures thinking I was catching some random cheater, then realized it was my boy's fiancée. Marcus pulled up photos on his phone showing Vanessa kissing a muscular guy with a sleeve tattoo. I tried telling Ethan, but Vanessa got to him first. Told him I was jealous of their relationship or some bull. He believed her. We haven't really talked since... I sank into my chair. She's got him wrapped around her finger. Not for long, Richard said, determination in his voice. They're hosting a housewarming party 2 weeks after they return. Every major player in Ethan's life will be there. The perfect stage, Marcus nodded, but we need concrete proof he can't ignore. I've got access to their security system, Richard said. Wedding gift from me, records everything. And I've still got a key to Ethan's place, Marcus added. He never asked for it back. So we set a trap, I said slowly, the plan taking shape. Catch her red-handed. With evidence he can't deny, Richard confirmed. Look, I love my daughter, but I love the truth more. And Ethan deserves it. Operation Truth Bomb, Marcus grinned. Just like our high school pranks, but with higher stakes. For the first time since the wedding, I felt something like hope. Let's take her down. The housewarming party was in full swing when I arrived at Ethan and Vanessa's new McMansion. Richard gave me a subtle nod from across the room where he was fiddling with the entertainment system. Dad, you made it. Ethan hugged me, looking tanned from his honeymoon. Wouldn't miss it. We still need to talk about the wedding. Later, I promise. Vanessa appeared in designer jeans that probably cost more than my weekly paycheck. Grady, so glad you could make it. Water or beer? Beer's fine. Beautiful home. Thanks. I was just telling Ethan we should look at houses in Seattle next year. Ethan frowned. Seattle? First I'm hearing of it. Richard clinked his glass. Everyone, time for a toast and a special housewarming surprise. The room quieted as he connected his phone to the TV. To new beginnings and truth. The screen showed security footage from inside this very house. Date stamped yesterday. Vanessa letting in the muscular man from Marcus's photos. You shouldn't be here, her voice came through the speakers. You weren't complaining when I was inside you in Bali while hubby was scuba diving. Ethan stood frozen, his glass shattering on the floor. What is this? Vanessa lunged for the remote. There's more. Richard switched to text messages filling the screen. These are private, Vanessa shrieked. Nothing's private in a marriage, Richard replied, including your plans to isolate Ethan from his father. Marcus stepped forward. Man, I tried to tell you. She's been playing you. The room went silent. Guests started edging toward the door. Ethan, they're manipulating this. They're jealous of us. Ethan looked at me. Dad, did you know? Found out after the wedding. Wasn't sure you'd believe me. I should have. He turned to Vanessa. I want you out, now. 3 weeks later, Ethan was bunking in my spare room while divorce papers worked through the system. We were watching the Cowboys game, just like old times. Dad, I'm sorry I almost let her come between us. You've got nothing to apologize for, son. My doorbell rang. Vanessa stood there, mascara streaked. Ethan won't take my calls. Please, I've changed. One mistake was marrying you. Goodbye. I shut the door without a second thought. Later that week, Richard and I met for beers at my local dive bar. How's she doing? I asked. Patricia's mortified. Vanessa's lost half her friends. And us? Richard clinked his bottle against mine. Think we're just getting started. That night, Ethan and I planned our first fishing trip in months. Sometimes losing a toxic person is the biggest win of all. What would you have done if you discovered your child's spouse was not only cheating, but actively trying to isolate them from you? Would you have exposed them publicly like Grady did, or handled it privately? And is there ever a situation where you'd forgive someone who called you a family embarrassment? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this revenge story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about standing up to toxic people. New videos every day.